Hey everyone, welcome to the Electric SuperCar channel. Last time we were on the MGA, we had quite a few issues. It's got the thumbs down. The mains contactor did not close. Dang it.
Okay, I expect it to fail right here just like it did before, but...
Yeah, so when you... Oh, shit.
As soon as it pops up, it says commission failed.
Not quite the outcome I was hoping for.
So just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, I bring you this episode. Enjoy. This video sponsor is FlexiSpot, and we've got a 2-in-1 for you today. So as part of the 2-for-1 today, we have a standing desk. So this is the 2024 best value and best performance. I don't know what you think of when you think of standing desk, but for me, holy cow, this blew away all my expectations. This is a seriously sturdy desk. It's got a static load capacity of 540 pounds. That means like you could put an engine on it. It is rock solid. I mean, you can like hit it pretty good and it doesn't budge. So it's got an advanced function keypad where you can program both a standing height as well as a sitting height. Again, I think this is a good size, good color, and I cannot believe, I'll call it the robustness. I mean, solid steel legs, everything's steel frame, the wood, everything's really thick, really well made. So it even has a USB plug-in so you can charge all your devices. It really is one desk for all heights. It goes up to 51.6 inches all the way down to 26 inches. So I think this would be great for both office environment as well as something to put in your garage. So FlexiSpot not only makes things like office furniture, but they also have garage storage racks. That's really nice. They got a nice powder coat on them. So it has an integrated grid, which makes it easier to install. It also has all the hardware and even templates. It has an adjustable height, anywhere from 22 inches to 40 inches. The integrated frames are welded together to make things more stable. And it is 13 gauge cold rolled steel. So one of the things I like is it gets all the stuff up off the ground where dust, debris, dogs, whatever can get to it. So it gets it up and out of the way, makes things look clean and neat. This is the Flexi Mounts, 4 foot by 8 foot, adjustable ceiling storage rack. It can hold up to 600 pounds. Already starting to look so much better. This is FlexiSpot's amazing anniversary sale. So if you've been shopping for something like a desk or garage storage units, now is the time. So I'll put some coupon codes down in the video description to help you get even more money off. These are some serious quality products. So if you're interested in anything like this, go check them out. I'll leave a link in the video description below. All right, we're on to the last two, I'll call them electrical things we need to solve. One is the DC to DC converter, the other is charging. So I think I figured out the DC to DC problem. Basically on the wiring diagram, the one that we can't trust very well, but it actually has non-idle contactor. So basically this is to the dash, and I think what it's saying is like, hey, you can have a button on the dash that will turn that on and off. I can't think of a reason why you'd ever want, I'll call it the car on, the high voltage on, and not the DC to DC. Similarly, charging, I don't know why you'd ever want to have the ability not to charge, but I think we're going to look at those. All right, so here we are. Currently, the DC to DC is not on, so right, we're just at 12.5 volts. We'll go ahead and switch the circuit on. This is, there we go. Now we're at 13.9 and it's charging 14 volts. It turns out that the DC to DC converter was not super challenging. I just didn't expect that you had to, I'll say, flip a switch to turn it on. Because to me, like my other builds, anytime the car's on, it's on. I can't imagine a scenario where you don't want it on. But with that contactor closed though, DC to DC fires up just fine. So now we'll get to charging. See, on the charge port here, it's got the ground going both to the charger as well as pin 20. The other thing though is it does not seem like it's making a continuity with the chassis ground. So I think I might need one more wire because right now it's not turning on. Digging in here to the wire harness, this is the wire and this is the where I've spliced it, pin 20 and the other one to go to the charger. So I think I might just need to cut this and have one more go to the chassis. All right, so we added an extra ground to make sure that everything's grounded to the chassis. So we're gonna try charging again. One of the last unsolved things with this car is the charging. So currently it will not accept a charge when I plug in an EVSE, so electric vehicle supply equipment. It does not recognize that it's been plugged in, meaning that there's nothing in the high voltage junction box that's really telling it that it's plugged in. On the original wiring diagram, here's the charger, and it really just has CAN and power, and then the high voltage from the plug. So really that says, the original wiring diagram says that's all it needs. And if you look at here, like these, like pin 42 says it's a spare. Well, I got this other wiring, or this other one. It says here, pin 42, it says, hey, this is a J1772 interface for the AC voltage coming in. So I'm gonna wire one of the pins from this to pin 42 and see if that helps. Here's the other one for the ZEVA BMS. It says, in order to switch the charging mode, the charge sense input needs to be connected to ground. So I'm not sure if that happens, because this one's talking about you either need a reed switch or an AC relay. So I'm wondering if maybe the high voltage junction box has an AC relay, and that's why it wants pin 42 connected to the AC, or if there's something else. But yeah, if we can get that last thing working, that'll be great. So basically that's this one right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and splice one in, connect it to line 42. If that doesn't work, we're probably gonna have to go with a different J1772 interface. All right, we made another connection. We're gonna see if this now charges. Didn't hear anything. It just still says available. I've made another few connections. We're gonna try charging one more time. I did not hear anything. This just says, I don't know if you can see that, top left says available. More fun with the MGA. We are still troubleshooting charging, and it seems like, surprise, surprise, the original wiring diagram does not allow for charging. So we have to do a few things. So the original wiring diagram has us switching on, those contactors have to be closed for the battery to be able to get charged. And for that to happen, the key has to be in and on. However, if the key's in and on, the BMS is in a state that it cannot charge. So we have to kind of interrupt that. So we're gonna do a few things and see if we can get charging to work. All right, this is maybe like the 10th time I've tried. I still think there's probably gonna be one or two other things we need to do, but we'll go ahead and give this a try. Whoa, no comms to BMS. That's weird. So what we're looking for, right now it says idle. When the car is on, it says running. So what we're looking for is we need this to be where the BMS says charging. So we're trying to get in that charging status. So we need to, I think there's two other things we might need to do. One is, I think in this state, the auxiliary contactor is not closed, and I think that needs to be closed in order to charge. And then there's also a charge sense wire that we might need to ground as well. So those are the other two things we're gonna try, and hopefully we can get this thing charging. We have the auxiliary contactor closed, so we're gonna try one more time, see if we can get any charging status. And it still just says idle. All right, so I think this is the last thing that I know to do right now. So I said to ground the charge sense wire, and then in theory, that one should say charge mode or something like that. So it says charging. Okay, so that's the first time we've got that to say that. So we'll go ahead and make up a cable that's a little safer than just me holding one. Again, this is ground, not power, but still, I shouldn't say I don't like. You see all this crap. I should be doing better, but man, troubleshooting, just, yeah. What a disaster. Just really shouldn't have to do this much troubleshooting. I still kind of don't feel like this is the last part, but the BMS says it's in a charging mode, so now should be the first time I think it's ever tried to send the signal for the charger to charge. Still don't hear anything. So it says charging there, but that's just the mode. Here it still just says available. And our charger here is not making any sound. I have taken the high voltage junction box out again. They told me to replace the J1772 vehicle control board. So they sent me a new J1772 vehicle control board. This one's got one we'll just swap that one out on the bottom. I still just think that that's probably not it. I think it's that the BMS is not sending the charge signal. But again, maybe that's because this one is not telling it to. So we'll swap that out. If that doesn't work, I'm going to go to a independent charge controller. All right, we just took this off again. So here's the board we're going to replace. And is it just glued on? I don't see any fasteners. It's like Velcro or glue. I guess maybe we don't need to take it off. We'll just take off the wires. Yeah, they don't have any ferrules crimped on, so we'll do that too. That didn't work well. All right, so I think I've got this all wired up. This is the new one. The old one's down below. It does not have any power or ground going to it, so we'll probably just leave it in place because it doesn't have any fasteners. I don't know if it's glued on or just what. We'll put this unit back in the car and see if we have any better luck with charging. All right, this is with the changes made. I'm gonna give it a 12% chance. So here we got the green light on. That says charging. That says charging. But I would think that the fan would go on. Yeah, this one still says 0 amps. I shouldn't film when I'm upset. Huh? But we cannot get charging to work on the MGA. And basically this whole kit, it's just been very frustrating, meaning nothing has worked. So when everything's said and done, I'll probably give them a call because this is just ridiculous. Sorry, I shouldn't say any of that, but I'm getting frustrated. Here's where we're to. They said, let's look at the CAN messages, because I think what's going on is either the BMS is not sending the CAN signal or the charger is not receiving it, or they're speaking at the wrong baud rates. Either way, a charge controller fixes all of that, but we're gonna go down this troubleshooting path and hook up to CAN, look at some of the messages. Yeah, I think it's gonna be an incompatibility with baud rate. One or the other is either not sending or receiving, but we're gonna go through it anyway. All right, here's where we're to. I do have a CAN reader, so what I need to do is essentially wire up one of these kind of serial port things, one of these DB9 connectors, and wire it to the right pin so we can plug into the CAN network and read some of the messages. All right, so you can see here the cycle time and some of the CAN messages. So we're gonna go ahead and plug in the charger and see if we see any CAN messages regarding the charger. All right, so DC to DC's on. Auxiliary contactor's on. This says BMS idle, so we should be good to go. All right, so this says charging. We've got this recording the CAN data. So the wall charger says charging, however, it is at 0 amps. So we'll look at the CAN data and see if the battery management system is sending a signal. So I think we figured out through charging and through communication with the company that there's another wiring swap. So basically this is the kind of the DC out for the charger, and it's going into the box, and I believe those are also swapped. So the original diagram I had says the negative is supposed to be on the right, and the newer one right here, negative's on the left. So we're just making a quick switch, see if it'll work or if we've kind of permanently damaged something. All right, we are going to try again. Hey, I think we're charging. Is the fans going? So right here says 10.7 amps. All right, there's the charger working. These are some of the BMS satellites. That's my hand. What does it say my hand is? Back here, everything's pretty cool. These are the DC lines going in. That's the BMS, and that is the J1772 charge board. Those are cables. You can see high voltage cables, a little warmer than the others. So the two hot spots there, I don't think those are hot spots because I think that's curved metal. It might be, but I think it might just be reflection. And this all looks very cool. Again, don't be deceived by the colors. We're just looking for temperature. Got 35 is about the hottest there. Again, that's just above like skin temperature or body temperature. Skin 37. Charger, as you can expect, would be seeing a lot of heat, but again, it's looking pretty good. Again, just at the beginning, pretty close to 30°C. Yeah, so this one is the contactor. Looks like it's generating all the heat. It's pretty warm. This contactor, for whatever reason, so not the power, so not bus bars, nothing on top, the contactor itself is heating up quite a bit, way more than I'm comfortable with. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop this charge. So that contactor was running just way too hot. It was up to 90°C, and maximum operating temperature I think is like 85. So, and it was just climbing. So we turned everything off, and I'm gonna dig that contactor out. Again, this one was already purchased, part of the kit, or one of the things the customer got. Something tells me that it's not the right contactor. So I gotta dig it out and see what we're working with. Okay, reading up on this guy, it says it requires an external economizer. So I don't believe this is an economized contactor, which is why it was getting so hot. If you recall though, we have one that was inside the high voltage junction box that was supposed to be non-economized, but it was economized. So I think we can just swap it out for this one. Looks like it's kind of got the same bolt pattern, same height, same dimensions. So we'll go ahead and make that swap and see if we're operating in a better range. All right, we swapped out the contactors. I had to do a remote economizer just for the space constraints. We'll get that tidied up. But for now, we just want to make sure that we're not overheating anywhere. So we'll go ahead and plug this in and check it out after a few minutes. All right, this is to begin with. You can see right here, contactors basically not heating up. This is the economizer board. It's kind of the hottest place. We'll just check it out over time. All right. It says charge ended by BMS. I don't know that we love that it's chirping at us. It is what we want to have happen. We want the BMS to tell us to stop charging. We'll see if there's a setting we can do to make that not chirp. But that does mean we've completed charging. So we are at 170 volts. All right, so charging, that was our last big hurdle. We've got it working. When we plug it in, everything turns on, it charges, the BMS turns it off. So those are all the key features. Man, so many wiring headaches, but I believe we've got it all there. We've got a couple things we need to still button up though. All right, so things we need to button up. We had to take off the external economizer just because it was sticking into the fuse. So we've kind of We'll create a box. We'll still have it inside the high voltage area, but got to do that one. So all these wires and those satellite BMS modules have to go in a spot. Originally it was going to be there. That's just too tight. So we're designing another box. It'll kind of go down there, have a little more room, be out of the way. Again, that'll all be within this battery box enclosure. But once we do that, so once we take care of that and that, we'll button this up, the front will be done. In the back, you see we're testing out some new battery box mounts to kind of get things a little further up and out of the way. So again, this one won't collide with that. So we've got some of those on order. They should be coming soon. I think we can finally button this up. So we'll take it out one more time, get everything tightened down, put in place. We'll also tidy up some of the wires. We also have to do some things with the tunnel cover. We've got to put the shift lever in. We also have to put the e-brake, the handbrake on. So those are a few more things we need to do. We need to tidy up again all these wires and cables. Last but not least, we do need to do a test drive. I don't want to send it back to the customer without giving it a drive, making sure that everything works as intended. All right, well, we made it. We got through charging. What an ordeal. We do have a couple other things to button up before we can get this back to the customer and on the road. So stay tuned. See you next time.